Hi, this is Eden Gordon Hill, and we are with Defenders Live. Yes, today we are in June, the month of June, headed into the July 4th holiday. And we are here today with Michael McGrail. He is a health coach professional. Michael, thank you for coming to the show today. We're really grateful to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having me, and I really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, first and foremost, you are retired, you are a veteran, you served in the United States Marine Corps, and we are in the month of June, which is raising awareness for PTSD. It is PTSD month for the month of June. And I've seen many military spouses, veteran spouses posting about it on social media. But if you first could tell us a little bit about yourself, your service, and then what you are doing now with the health coach professional.
Okay, yeah. So a little bit about me. I was born and raised in a small town in central Pennsylvania. My dad actually retired from the Army. He had five daughters, and 16 years later, he decided that he wasn't done. So growing up, I had six moms. I had the opportunity to do a lot of things in my life, and just before 9/11, I had somebody challenge me to do something a little bit more with my life, and I decided I'd join the Marine Corps as part of that challenge.
Mm.
Through the years, obviously 9/11 happened. I was in my final exam going through artillery school at the time out in Oklahoma, and we knew that things were going to change. I didn't understand, and nobody could have predicted how that shaped the rest of my adult life because I did. I went on to serve four tours. I went over to Iraq four times in 2003,
Mhm.
five, six, and seven. I was actually on an expeditionary unit with the Marine Corps in 2012 when Benghazi was hit, and I was placed on the response force for some of the other world events that weren't quite as public. And then, operations in Europe, South America, Africa, just an incredible opportunity to serve as I had moved into a different field, conducting more operations and really having the opportunity to venture out.
Mhm.
Um, Through all that, I had what I would consider to be a fairly typical veteran experience.
Mhm.
I got tired, I got worn down, my body began to hurt, and I had to work harder and harder for my fitness to stay where I wanted it to be. I
Mhm.
was always running my first class fitness test, but I saw the score gradually coming down, a little bit of weight creeping in, and every day after work, I needed a nap.
Mhm.
That last little bit, that needing a nap with kids at home when I'd already missed half of their life, that was the foundation for where my health journey began.
Mhm.
And when I began, it was a fluke. I had an individual that reached out to me and he said, "Hey, I'm trying these new supplements, and I know you've been dealing with some stuff. It worked well for me. I lost some weight. I feel better. Maybe you should try them."
Right.
I gave him a shot, and 4 days later, I didn't need a nap after work. And it was the strangest thing because he's telling me about feeling amazing. And I was so cynical at that point in my life. I've been in the Marine Corps for 15, 16 years. Nothing was amazing. There
Mhm.
was nothing amazing about being in the military. It hurt. I was tired all the time.
Right.
I argued with my wife, and sadly, I wasn't a very good dad because my kids would want to play, and I just literally there were times that I would push them away when I was trying to take a nap, and they were
Mhm.
like 4 and 6 years old. I wasn't pushing them to the ground. Don't get me wrong, but
Right.
I couldn't be there for my kids.
Right. So
When that happened,
let me ask you this.
yeah,
As you're going through this process and hearing your story, you, as many people in the audience, will resonate with what you are saying. They have served in the Marine Corps, especially where we live here in Carteret County, right by Camp Lejeune, right by Cherry Point, Fort Bragg's in the backyard. So you have Army, you have Marine Corps, and you have a lot of Navy retirees. So you are singing to a choir of caregivers and of veterans who have been searching for quite a while to find healing for what is going on with me, the
yeah,
PTSD side of it, the mental health, the TBI side of it. You sent me an article, and as you are with Carteret, you are a Carteret health coach for Carteret County, which is
yeah,
huge, and having
yes,
Camp Lejeune in your backyard. And I know you just got back from Ohio from a huge conference. So
yes.
the veteran focus that you are zeroing in on, what would you like to tell veterans today from where you're sitting at your home in Carteret County, but for veterans around the nation, there are a bunch of things being thrown at them, but then also what is great resources for them and also their caregiver to say, you know what, I'm hearing his story. It sounds so familiar to me. What do I do?
The biggest thing is look at what you're putting in your body. We destroyed, and I say we as a whole, the military, whether you were overseas or not, the military lifestyle destroys this thing that is scientifically called gut health. It comes from poor sleep habits. It comes from high stress. It comes from preservatives, artificial sweeteners, the things that we consume on a daily basis. More than probably anybody but first responders, the military destroys that gut health. And so that's the one thing that I really encourage veterans to look at, because we mask so many problems with medication in the military.
Mm-hmm.
It was a realization probably 2 or 3 years after I started my health journey, and I didn't even realize I'd already been treated for a traumatic brain injury. I had multiple concussions, concussive events right next to me, post-traumatic stress. I didn't recognize the symptoms. That's why I personally had to explore why I started feeling better when I started taking care of myself. It was all in the gut. And to explain that as simply as I can, we have like 7 to 10 pounds of bacteria in our digestive tract. We actually have more bacteria in our digestive tract than we have in our body. That bacteria controls our mood. It controls the way we make our sleep hormone, our happy hormone. Obviously, it controls our digestion, but it can manifest over 300 different medical symptoms if it's not taken care of. And the more and more that I learned, and the more that I saw medication being thrown at these people 17, 18, 19 years into my career,
Mm-hmm.
I realized military medicine, to no fault of their own, their goal is to simply get the veteran to the finish line, whether it's 4 years, 8 years, 20 years, whatever it may be, to
Mm-hmm.
get them to the finish line in one piece.
Mm-hmm.
Once they hit that finish line, they don't have to be able to go again. And that's where so many veterans are getting put on medications. My personal opinion, my observation, they're getting put on these medications, and it's only masking the problem,
Mm-hmm.
which is gut health and nutrition and sleep loss and so many other things.
Well, let me ask you about the sleep loss. You mentioned that. So I am married to a veteran,
Okay.
Army and United States Army. He was in Iraq, like you, and his sleep issues go up and down. I have him on a lot of vitamins, not medication,
Okay.
vitamins. But I do see tends to be about once a month
Mhm.
sleep issues. They go in and out. Tell me about the sleep issues that you discovered, that you were uncovering as a veteran yourself, and that you've heard other veterans talk about, and how can gut health also help with the insomnia?
It almost doesn't make sense how gut health helps with the insomnia. Yesterday, I was speaking with a friend, with a client that I work with, who had dealt with years and years of trauma through her lifetime. And we revisited a conversation where the bacteria in your gut tells your body to produce melatonin, the sleep hormone.
Mhm,
It naturally comes from your gut. 80 to 90% of it's made in your gut. And while the melatonin that primarily makes you sleep comes from elsewhere, your brain, um, that 80 to 90% is very influential in the way that your body functions. So, what happens with post traumatic stress? And let me go ahead and also put it out there. It's not a disorder, it's a very natural response to a traumatic event. It's your body's way of responding.
mhm,
But post traumatic stress, when it happens, it can kill bacteria in your gut. And that imbalance starts a cycle that eventually manifests in all the different symptoms that we recognize.
mhm,
It's not to say that taking care of your gut can actually make the memories disappear, but before I started, I was having nightmares. Um, I think a lot of people do. I grew up in a community in the Marine Corps that we saw a great deal of combat. We had a lot of stressful situations, just like many, if not most. And with that, the dreams that I had were very vivid. There were times that I woke up feeling as if I had been shot, just feeling a burning, a pain, and aching, whatever it may have been. And it's crazy to look back at that because within a few months, my nightmares had really gone down in intensity, in frequency. My dreams became very vivid, but they were no longer horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And when I began to look into it, there are studies all over the place talking about the impact of the gut bacteria and how it, I think the easiest way to put it is it brings those memories to light and it manifests them. But when you sleep through the night and your body is naturally more resistant to the anxiety because it has the bacteria in the right place
Mm-hmm.
to do what they should be doing, my sleep improved. So when it comes to your husband with the sleep cycles and the vitamins, it sounds like you're already on a really good track.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, an integrative health coach, and I talk about this a little bit with Carteret Health Coach when I'm practicing.
Mm-hmm.
When we supplement a hormone, it
Mm-hmm.
tells the body it's okay not to make that hormone anymore. When you take a probiotic before bed, and there are some probiotics that are better than others, that's a long conversation. But when you take the right probiotics before bed, it gives your body the opportunity to absorb and process those probiotics over 6 to 8 hours if you're getting a good night's sleep.
Okay.
And in turn, it's putting your gut into high gear where those hormones are being made.
Okay.
That's a phenomenal thing. And that's really the way that I recommend anybody who's dealing with whether it's traumatic brain injury, which also causes a damage to the gut bacteria, or post-traumatic stress, to approach, their gut health before they start looking at medications that may end up masking
Mm-hmm.
symptoms and then going on for other problems, unfortunately.
How quickly is there a turnaround once you have that probiotic in your system? The is the anxiety, the depression, uh, the trauma, the sleep, does it almost, is it non-existent?
My experience, it's usually between 2 to 3 weeks and 4 months, which is
Okay.
a really, really big window.
Yeah, yeah.
What happens when the gut begins to get out of balance? There is this, it's called Candida. It's a yeast. We all have it. Nothing to worry about unless it gets out of control. And Candida, one of the primary functions in the body is to help decompose um, both the things that need to be decomposed and then also to help break down your body when you pass away.
Mhm.
If we have too much of it while we're still here trying to catch our last breath on earth, that becomes a problem because it begins to eat. So getting that into balance, everybody has a different amount.
Mhm.
Getting that into balance seems to have a big role on how quickly individuals respond.
Mhm.
One veteran I worked with living out in the Midwest was dealing with nightmares, stress, anxiety, had unfortunately lost a few marriages, and through a period of 2 to 4 months, there was a time when I got a phone call and that veteran said, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know I woke up this morning feeling happy. And I
Mm.
don't even know the last time that happened. I didn't know that would happen, but I want to say thank you. I'm going to plan on enrolling in school again."
Oh, that's wonderful.
In in the mid 40s,
Mhm.
to rediscover your purpose in life
Right,
and to find a passion.
right.
And that veteran actually turned around and ended up recommending their former spouses so that we could all work together and build bridges and just grow together. It was phenomenal. It's incredible. And this is stuff that is, if you watch the news, maybe it's being experimented with by the VA, maybe it's not. My personal experience, they just offer medication, whether it's needed or not.
Right.
And that's unfortunate.
What would be the top 3 simple steps that you would say to a veteran who's watching this tonight to, if they are on the fence of wanting to figure out what's next, if they've been researching, what are the top 3 things that you would say to them to take that step forward? And what is from what you have experienced, what you have learned,
Mhm.
are they able to also connect with you online, virtually? What are ways that people can reach out to you as well as you are wanting to serve the veteran community and the greater North Carolina community as well?
Um, I'll go ahead and start with the first 3 steps.
Mhm,
First and foremost, it's okay to seek help.
mhm,
I need to put that out there. As a retired master sergeant, I tried to make it public that I was going to, we call him the wizard, but I was going to the psych. And I had 0 reservations. There were times that I saw my own Marines in the waiting room as I was waiting to talk to psych.
mhm.
There is 0 shame. We've all been through our own experience. To compare an individual's experience to another and to say, I didn't have it that bad, so I don't, it's irrelevant. We all grew up differently. We were created equal. We grew up differently. It's okay to get help.
Mhm,
Um, I want to put that out there as the very first thing.
mhm.
The second thing is take a look at all the medications you may be on, or even the medications that you may be considering, and take a look at the long term side effects. Even anti inflammatories, if you take them on a regular basis, have a really negative impact on your body. So, trying to find natural alternatives. I started out thinking everybody had to look like a hippie if you were, um,
Mhm.
taking care of your health. The reality is, finding natural, clean alternatives makes all the difference in the world in the way that you wake up in the morning and then continue through the day.
Let me
Um,
can I ask you something really quickly,
yeah,
not to lose your train of thought? The anti-inflammatory aspect, what are, natural resources, alternatives that you would recommend for those who take Excedrin and Tylenol all the time to deal with migraines?
that's and migraines are very, they're a beast. I used to walk around with Max Salt in my pocket. First and foremost, an anti-inflammatory diet. Things that cause inflammation in our body include sugar,
Mhm,
yeast, uh, artificial sweeteners actually cause a lot of inflammation as well as an insulin response.
mhm,
Alcohol, that's a big one that I know is very popular with most vets. I'm not saying you can't drink, but I am saying that if you're dealing with a lot of aches and pains, alcohol probably is not helping you. Soda falls in there too.
right,
So the anti-inflammatory diet,
okay,
addressing the Candida. You mentioned migraines specifically. Candida can manifest in migraines. A lot of people that I work with, in Carteret Health Coaching and back in my foundation when I just started helping people with supplementation, migraine relief is probably one of the biggest things for me because I was having them 2 or 3 times a week. Again, having Maxol, off the top of my head, I couldn't even tell you what the side effects of it are, but I know the doctor did not want me having too much of it,
mhm.
for good reason. Our liver has to do its job.
Right, right. And then you had so going back to your top 3 list, seek
Mhm.
help. There is no shame in seeking out a counselor, as you call it, the great wizard.
Yeah.
Uh, in addition, listing all of medications and looking at their long-term effects. So you and I both know that the VA loves to prescribe, prescribe, prescribe. But at the end of the day, it does not get to the very root. It's just a temporary relief for a veteran. What is the third thing?
The third thing, I recommend probiotics. Absolutely, without a doubt, get the candida out of your digestive tract. Get it down to a manageable level. This is what I help people with more often than not. It's
Mhm,
an overgrowth of candida, and get it out. There are diets that you can use. I'm more than happy to help veterans do it, whether it's through supplementation, whether it's through my health coaching, whatever it may be. Get the candida under control so that your body can actually heal. Um, Probiotics, you see the buzzwords, you see it, pop up in yogurts and this and that and the other. It's in cereal now.
uh-huh,
There is a difference. There is a big difference. And when you see it in a cereal or in a yogurt, stuff like that, there's sugar in there.
mhm,
And the amount of probiotics that you're putting in to try and counteract the sugar, I saw it put out there once, you'd have to have 25 Yoplait to have the same value of probiotics that you get in an average pill. And in having all of that yogurt, you're going to take in like 8 days worth of sugar consumption.
mhm.
The sugar feeds the candida.
Right, exactly, exactly.
People make a killing obvious marketing because the consumer is uninformed.
Right.
That's a
Right.
challenge. But it's very easy for an individual to go on to, Google, DuckDuckGo, any major search engine,
Hmm.
and look up the symptom that they're dealing with. It
Hmm.
could be it could be migraines, it could be strep throat, it could be skin conditions, it could be, IBS. Look at that symptom plus the term gut health.
Hmm.
I promise you there are studies and studies out there. And
Hmm.
it's incredible that we continue to overlook them in Western medicine.
Do you think, going forward, as we're more than halfway through the year, and knowing that the veteran topic is a hot issue in a lot of different states, we living in North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, Florida, those are heavily veteran states
Mhm.
specifically. And you being based here in North Carolina, as you send this message out to all veterans here in North Carolina, it's not limited to just this state. There are many health professionals like yourself that are collaborating, that are coming together to really focus on gut health and to really transform and have a healthier life, both mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, for your family. You talk about how, it was such a transformation for relationships, taking away that isolation point, that depression point. So, in the final few minutes, Michael McGrail, you are health coach professional here in Carteret County, North Carolina. What is the best way for veterans to reach you? And do you also meet with others who are not necessarily veterans, but who have had PTSD issues and traumatic brain injuries from other avenues?
I I welcome all. I love working with patriots. The best way to reach me is you can look me up carterethealthcoach.com or Google Carteret Health Coach. I have a light presence on Instagram and Facebook. Usually I prefer to work by word of mouth because I get some really great people that I get to work with. Um, it's been phenomenal. And anybody who is dealing with that type of thing, you can email me at michael
Mhm.
at carterethealthcoach.com,
Okay.
or my office number is 252-515-1248.
Okay.
And truly, when it comes down to it, whether we have a chance to meet on here or it simply sparks a conversation,
Hmm.
this is a conversation that I think a lot more people need to have with their healthcare providers.
Hmm.
It was a total fluke that 6.5 years ago I learned what gut health was, and I learned it out of pure skepticism
Hmm.
because I hated the fact that people felt amazing and I didn't understand it at the time.
Right.
About 4 years ago, so that would have been 2.5 years into the journey, the doctors started asking me what I was doing and why my health at 38 years old was going in the opposite direction of everybody I was serving with. My blood pressure was better, my weight was better, my anxiety, my pain levels all improved.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until 2 years after I started those conversations
Hmm.
that I realized the reason the MDs, the medical doctors and the military docs were asking me what I was doing was
Right.
because they didn't understand it. It wasn't something that they had learned about. It
Hmm.
wasn't something that we had talked about
Hmm.
as a society. And it's still a little bit taboo the way that it works out. The fact that you could heal, invisible scars through bacteria, it sounds a little bit hokey. I go ahead and I put it out there because it does. I didn't believe it. But when you actually experience it for yourself,
Hmm.
and for those people conversation that I just had, it the friend forgot to take what forgot ran out of probiotic and gave me a call and said, "Hey, is this what's been keeping my nightmares away?" Yeah, without a doubt, that is what's making a big difference. The bacteria can only last for so long, and if we keep on working at it and we keep on rebuilding it, it makes all the difference in the world.
Michael McGrail, we are grateful that you are advocating for our veterans. We are grateful for your service. And on behalf of Defenders Live and our show today, we are so thankful for you to continue on this journey fighting for greater health and helping those, especially with PTSD, in the month of June and every day of the year. And that is advocating for our veteran community. So we're grateful. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.